Galway 2020, and if you could give me the status of the breakdown of the €1 million in 2020 legacy funding, the amount drawn down to date, the breakdown of where any funds drawn down have been allocated, and if you'll make a statement on the matter.
The development of a legacy framework to sustain and build on the capacity, networks and opportunities arising from the cultural programme of Galway 2020 was a key deliverable of the overall European Capital of Culture. The Galway Culture Company has to date drawn down just over €800,000 of the €1 million allocated to the Galway 2020 legacy programme. The allocated €1 million funding has supported the three strategic objectives of the programme as follows. €191,920 supported the first strategic objective to facilitate international and EU relationships and funding. €397,423 supported the second strategic objective, support to place-based cultural programming, and €208,490 supported the third strategic objective of provision of supports to the culture and creative sector. The artistic and cultural sector have had an opportunity to access this funding through a number of channels, including open calls, partnerships and funding applications to EU programmes, opportunities for presentation in other European countries, and targeting capacity building supports. As such, opportunities continue to arise. They are published on the website of Galway Culture Company. The legacy framework is also available to view on their website. My department officials continue to work closely with the Galway Culture Company in relation to the legacy programme, and in that context there are quarterly reporting meetings with the company. The first such meeting took place on the 29th of November last between the department, the Chief Executive of the Galway Culture Company and the Chair of the Board of Galway Culture Company. The second meeting took place on the 31st of January 2024. At both meetings, Galway Culture Company provided an update to the department on programming and expenditure. The performance delivery agreement between the department and the Galway Culture Company seeks to guarantee the appropriate oversight of the implementation of the legacy programme and the expenditure of the government's funding allocation. In line with the agreement, drawdowns of the remaining €202,167.85 funding will be subject to monthly written requests and provision of supporting documentation. The remaining drawdown is expected to be completed in the first half of this year.
And thank you for the update and the details in relation to that. And of the million, there's 202,167.85 remaining. I'm grateful that I appreciate that the department is keeping a close eye on this, because there is a history to this. And perhaps the mistake I made as a politician was thinking that the designation of Capital of Culture had something to do with art. I realise my mistake now, because it was a lot more to do with business, and it's actually captured in the 3 bullet points that you've given for the legacy, which is not due, but thank you for giving them to facilitate international and EU relationships. I'm not sure where my idea of art came into that. The second, to support place-based cultural programming. Again, it's a jargon. And the third one, provision of supports to the cultural and creative sector. And that just gets the second amount, not the highest amount, to the cultural and creative sector. And I would have thought that the creative sector would have got the top billing, but I'll come back in on my second one.
I think, you know, there is great support there for the art section, and details of projects funded are available on the website of Galway Culture Company. These include previous projects such as the Dear Prudence, an art exhibition themed around mental health, and the Pulse Drums programme. Ongoing projects and indeed open calls include an artist bursaries open call that provides support for artists from or living in Galway City and County, and has been run through the Galway Arts Centre. Branner, a theatre company for children, has been commissioned to create Rocking the Classroom, a music education programme in Irish and English for children in junior and senior infants, first and second class. A creative arts programme in 4 Galway Desh schools across a range of art forms. Scéal na Gaillimh, an open call to artists, performers, makers, designers and creatives from Galway City and County, working through the medium of the Irish language. Designer in Residence programme, through which 5 talented graduate designers from the west of Ireland are placed with companies, and Macnas are also offering bursaries to individual creative practitioners living in Galway City and County to travel to and to learn from highly skilled artists and professionals across Europe. Department's funding has also supported Irish translations, graphic design and assisted in companies' fulfilment of the legal and financial requirements under the Performance Delivery Agreement.
Níl éon doubt go bhfuil tógraí maithe cara chun cén branner san áireamh agus ardmháil a tilseag branner. I have no doubt and have no hesitation in saying there were good projects. However, I think it would be remiss of me not to. This is going to conclude in the first quarter of this year. I gather the money will all be spent. And looking back on that, there are serious lessons to be learned from it. Serious upset on the ground amongst the artistic community. And as regards a legacy to Galway, I think perhaps we were all of the misunderstanding that there might be a permanent building or something of that nature given. There wasn't even a legacy committee set up until we put pressure on here in the Dáil in relation to it. More specifically, in the last couple of seconds, you referred to a number of channels, including open calls, partnerships, on funding applications. Is that process all completed now? There are no more open calls, I gather. Could you clarify that for me? Is it just a matter of drawing down the remaining 202,000?
Just in relation to the physical infrastructure as part of the legacy, you know, the bid book for Galway 2020, upon which was awarded the designation of Ireland's 2020 European Capital of Culture, set out that any new cultural infrastructure to be delivered is part of Galway's Cultural Strategy 2016 to 2025, Everybody Matters, which is developed and managed by the local authorities. So the bid book also stated that infrastructure was not part of the European Capital of Culture project, which would rely on existing infrastructure and infrastructure that came on stream between the designations and delivery through existing plans and development. It is generally acknowledged, however, as part of Galway's cultural strategy and in the planning for Galway 2020 that the cultural dividend and legacy arriving from the delivery of Galway's year as European Capital of Culture would help create the need for more cultural infrastructure, and this was set out in the third monitoring report of the expert panel to the EU in October 2019. I can get my officials to follow up, Deputy, in relation to your question on the open calls.